Throughout the years, cinema has changed rapidly and dramatically, creating a unique film history. According to Looking at Movies by Richard Barsom and Dave Monahan, film history traces the development of moving images from early experiments with image reproduction and photography through the invention of the movies in the early 1890s and subsequent stylistic, financial, technological, and social developments in cinema that have occurred up to now. To understand fully how film history works, we can place each approach in four separate categories, previously listed in the definition prior. First, we have the stylistic or aesthetic approach. This approach can also be known as the masterpiece approach or great man approach. This is a change in the film's look or artistic integrity. And when examining the aesthetic approach, one should seek to find the important works of the cinematic art, who the directors are, and why the movies and directors are key in film history. Next, we have the financial approach, which examines the commercial and business side of film history. Focusing less on the artistic side of movies, the financial approach examines policies of production, distribution, and exhibition. Third is the technological approach. This specific approach looks at the advancement in film tools. Historians who are interested in the technological approach to cinema often examine when certain inventions were made, why they were made, if the invention was connected to an existing piece of technology, and how new technology affected directors, studios, distributors, exhibitors, and audiences. Fourth is the social approach. As most critical movie watchers know, cinema, as well as art in general, influences society. This approach focuses on why the movie was made, who the message was for, what was seen, and how the films were evaluated. As films advance in each of these four categories, several specific major film movements have emerged. In the years of 1891 to 1903, the world was introduced to the first movies, and 1908 to 1927, the silent period was presented. Then we were exposed to German Expressionism, French avant-garde filmmaking, Hollywood's Golden Age, Italian neorealism, the French New Wave, and the present, new cinemas in Great Britain, Europe, and Asia. In this video, I will be focusing on the major film movement that existed primarily in the years of 1908 to 1927, the silent period. Although the movie we will be examining today was introduced in 2011, it embraces the silent period and is complete with beautiful visuals, title cards, absence of major dialogue, and wonderful characters. This movie is The Artist, directed by Michel Hazanavicius. Ironically, this silent film's story is based on the introduction of sound into the silent period. Yet, the actual film is limited in its own dialogue. The silent period of film was, well, you guessed it, silent. According to an article by Rush Media Studios, the films during the silent period accommodated for the shortage of sound by utilizing on-screen captions to emphasize essential factors and dialogue within the story. Oftentimes, the projection of silent films onto the large display were accompanied by instrumental music like a pianist, organist, and even a big orchestra. Emotional music, title cards, and expressive actors have become trademarks of cinema made between 1908 and 1927. In The Artist, we experience all three of these, making it a film that can be easily placed into the major film movement of the silent period. The score alone threw the entire film back into the 1920s silent era. Perhaps the most emotional music included in the score was the song Sin de Amor, which accompanied this following scene. Originally utilized in Alfred Hitchcock's film Vertigo, the song is widely emotional and sparked much controversy when it was used in The Artist. Some people argued that the music was just compensating for the lack of emotion in the scene of The Artist. And it's true, the music was making up for the lack of emotion that may have been enhanced with dialogue. But that is the music's job in silent films. The music creates a whole new level of intensity and emotion which replaces audible sound. Although there is no synced dialogue during the majority of the movie, Hazanavicius pays homage to the silent period with title cards when important. Let's take a look at the following scene. This single title card seamlessly weaves the two scenes together as the audience realizes the single word bang does not apply to the gunshot but to the car crash. Hazanavicius in the scene pays homage to title cards and their importance to films in the 1920s when audible dialogue had yet to be utilized. However, Hazanavicius knew that his silent film could not just rely on title cards. Oftentimes, in the silent period, directors would have to work with the characters to convey emotion in other ways than words, creating a unique aesthetic. As we see in movies like The Artist, the actors have to be expressive. They have no other choice as their voice is not an option. To us modern-day moviegoers, it's hard to imagine how to capture a full range of emotion without any audible narrative. Yet, Hazanavicius draws from the past silent movie directors and their tricks on how to create a successful film. The Hollywood Reporter, in their article, The Artist, How a Black and White Silent Movie Defied the Odds and Became an Oscar Contender, talks about Hazanavicius' inspiration from F.W. Murnau. The Hollywood Reporter says that Murnau had instructed his protagonist from his silent film, The Sunrise, to wear heavy weighted shoes on set after he fell on hard times. Hazanavicius drew from this and did something similar when he dressed his fallen star in suits slightly too big for him. Hazanavicius says he's not as perfect as he was in the first act, and clearly, the oversized suits portray this. This helped Hazanavicius stereotype the failing Hollywood actor perfectly. In the silent period, character stereotypes were also key parts of silent films, along with expressive acting. Here are some examples of character stereotypes in The Artist. First, we have George Valentine, a handsome man but a cast-out actor. He lives with a dog, his blonde beautiful wife leaves him, his luxury is taken away, and he winds up in an apartment. He is your stereotypical riches to rags, aging, and cast-out Hollywood actor. Then we have Peppy Miller, a young, boisterous girl, beautiful and thin, excited about life, with marvelous big eyes and a caring demeanor. She's almost too perfect. She's your stereotypical love interest, exactly what the American audience would expect regarding a Hollywood sweetheart in the 1920s. Hazanavicius was a master at combining his knowledge of modern-day cinema with silent period cinema. Like F.W. Murnau's silent film Sunrise, The Artist is similar as it follows its dramatic characters and the rise and fall of the characters' emotions. Furthermore, Sunrise, with no dialogue, enhances each scene with whimsical music composed by Hugo Reisenfeld. In a particular scene, the audience watches the man chase after a train and a woman. The music swells frantically and then gently eases once he catches up. There's no real need for dialogue. Take a look. Just as in The Artist, we can see that the music enhances each scene, taking place of the silence of the characters. Both of these directors are masters when it comes to adding music in and creating a whole new emotion for a particular scene. Michel Hazanavicius was born and raised in Paris, France. Hazanavicius attended art school and later worked as a director for commercials and then television. In 1999, he wrote and directed his first feature film, Mes Amis. This featured his brother Serge Hazanavicius. Later on, he would go on to include his family in films yet again, when he placed his wife, Bérénice Bejo, as Peppy Miller in his 2011 film, The Artist. This film is his most widely known movie and has won many awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor. Thank you for joining me in this video of film history on The Artist.